friends, it's Laura. Welcome or welcome back. So today we're going to do a little bit of a tutorial. It's not that much of a tutorial. I rarely know what I'm doing. But I'm going to show you what I did on one page and we're going to replicate it on the page next to it. So I'm working out of Menuet de Bonnier. This is by Kanoko Agusa. This is Kingdom of Curious Creatures. This is just the Japanese version. The only reason I have the Japanese version is because I've had this since before the English versions came out. So we're going to work on, oops, look at that. I've already made a big mistake. Can you see that big yellow line? I'm going to have to, can I get rid of that? Probably not. Can I make it less visible? Yeah. Okay, well, apparently that must have bled over to there. I got too much water on the page too. That's okay. We'll just have to pretend that's not there. Mistakes happen. Okay. Maybe I'll go a little higher with the blue right there and try and cover it. So I've done most of the work that I'm going to do on this page, on these pages. I did the background on this side, and this is all done with 4 Inktense. And I'd have to see the colors. One moment. This one, which one is the darkest one? That one. So it's done with these 3 colors as a gradient, and then I dappled over it to make it darker, kind of give it some dimension down there with this one. So I'm going to put that one up there for later. And yeah, we're going to replicate it on the other side. I waited, I did everything else. You can see I've already made mistakes like all over the place. I smudged the blue right there. This has been an interesting experience. So we're just going to go ahead and start with the darkest color, which is if you want to follow along with a gradient, the darkest color is sea blue, then deep blue, then iris blue. So darkest color is sea blue. And my pencil isn't too sharp. I don't think it really matters. I'm going to put a page behind this, although I don't think it really matters as also. I'm not pressing super hard. As you can tell, everything on this page is kind of a light wash, which isn't really necessarily how I intended it to turn out. It's just how it worked out. And I'm going to go up about, I can see where my line is, where I don't know if you can tell, I can see where my line is, where I stopped. So I'm going to go up to about here. And at some point you just need to make a gradient line. I'm not worrying about the bubbles too much. I think I'm going to go over the bubbles with a pearlescent paint. Maybe. Okay, so I'm probably going to go up about there. And I'm going to vary it as I go. So this is curving. So I'm going to go up higher over here and lower over here. And it's not going to be even. I don't want it to be even because I don't want there to be like a straight line across. I'm going to be honest, these 2 pages have taken me quite a while, probably about a week. And I don't color, a lot. I generally only color in the evenings. And I just don't know. I have a short attention span. So I don't get a lot of coloring time in. Plus it's kind of, I only color in the evenings, I only color in bed because that's where I'm hanging out in the evenings with my laptop, and I'm watching YouTube or TV, or on my laptop. I'm basically just like glued to my laptop in the evenings, and I'll just sit up in bed and color. And eventually that gets uncomfortable. I've decided that I probably need like a lap desk or something. Like, one of those plastic on the front, squishy stuff on the back lap desks. I have one of them, but my laptop is on it to keep it from overheating on the bed. Because if not, the fan is just gonna burn out. So I'm thinking about getting a pretty inexpensive one from Amazon. For now, though, I've got a Lego box that I might use. Okay, so we're moving along. I'm not being precise in how I'm laying down the color, which is probably to my detriment, because you can see I've got some lines over here. I'm just not being careful. I don't want this to be like a really precious process. I don't. It's supposed to be fun. I don't need this to be, a piece of stunning artwork when I'm done. I just want to have had fun with the process, and I did. The background is honestly my least favorite part of something. So, almost done with the dark color. And we're going to lay down all of the pencil, all 3 gradient layers, before we blend it out. The other page, the background, took me 1 coloring session, which was probably about an hour. So I might speed this up a little bit, or I might make cuts. So we're not just sitting here forever, because after a while you're going to get the idea. I hope everyone is doing well. I'm adjusting to my life without crochet at the moment. If you watched my my Untouched Books video, you know that I'm not able to really crochet at the moment. I finished up the bag that I wanted to make for the fair, and that was my last crochet project. I need to weave in the ends and then I'm done. And that's it. For a while anyway. Just gonna give my arm a complete reset. Okay, so that's sea blue, which was our darkest color. And now we're doing deep blue, which is our second darkest color. And since we've already done the first page, we're just going to keep in mind where we want our lightest color to end and how high we want this middle color to go. And when you're gradiating them, is that a word? When you're layering them, you can go over the previous color so that they blend a little bit when you use the water to activate them. This paper does take water pretty well, by the way, if you were wondering. I don't know how it compares to the English versions, but the Japanese version takes water really well. I did this whole page. You know, I haven't done anything with pencil. This is all Inktense. And the other page has wrinkled a little bit, but none of the ink has gone through. So it's a perfectly usable page on the other side. Ooh, that's harsh. Okay. I'm going down into the previous color to kind of create a seamless blend. If you want more color, you need to press harder or go back over it after your paper has dried. That's very important. Don't go back over wet medium with another medium while it's still wet. Your paper will tear. It's just not good. Okay, so I'm going to speed this part up. And you're just going to see me coloring the rest of this layer all the way to the other side, and then we'll jump into the light color. Be back soon. That was deep blue. Now we're moving on to iris blue. That's our final color. These two colors look very similar. They're a little different once you color them and once you activate them. I wish I had gone a little darker on the bottom, which is why I went over it with this darker color in the end. We'll do that when we get to it, but I want them to match. So iris blue, which is our lightest color, we're just going to go now. We keep in mind how high this has gone. I'm not going to go very high with this because a lot of this up here, I don't even know if you can see that on camera or not. Let me. This blotted color up here is just done with the paintbrush. So I don't want to go too high because I want that kind of airy look to it. But we are going to color like in all these little crevices. And then we're just going to go a little bit up here. And then because of this yellow line up here, I think I'm going to go up here with it. Kind of go straight over the yellow line, which might make a little bit of green, but I'm just going to go over it. Try and make it part of the page. Okay, I'm going to go over here. In between these flower petals. This is quite a large space with this color. Yeah, we're still good. It's good to look over at the other side of the page occasionally and just make sure that you haven't just gone way out of bounds. Not that they have to match. There are no rules. Okay. Put that aside. Let's grab our water brush. I'm going to start with the, I just use a tissue, fold it into quarters. I'm going to start with the tiniest water brush that I have. Get it wet. Dry off a bunch because I don't want a bunch of liquid. And we're just going to start in these teeny tiny little areas at the bottom. You're going to start from the bottom and go up. I'm only going to do the tiny areas with this little brush. I find the bigger brush works better for the bigger areas, or this, not even the biggest brush, just the next size up brush. So I'm just going to do these little areas. Remember, you don't have to use Inktense if you're doing a background like this. You could just use watercolor, or watercolor pencils would be really good. I have a really small set of watercolor pencils, and I'm hoping to get a bigger set for my birthday. That will be exciting. But I do love my Inktense This paper allows you to scrub it a little bit. You know, not a lot, but a little bit. To get out some of the pencil lines. This dries relatively quickly. Obviously not entirely quickly if I've made smudges already in the book. So if you were smart, you probably wouldn't work from, if you're right-handed, you wouldn't work from right to left like I am. You would work from left to right. I'm just going to keep doing these little areas. Trying not to smudge. I think I'm going to work over here now. Okay. Now I'm going to switch to a bigger brush. Wipe that off and switch to this size, which is just, you know, a little bit bigger. Put that over my work for now. Start over here on the left. And I'm gonna start by doing, I can't remember how I did this on the other page. I think I'm gonna start by doing kind of the darker color first. Like I know all these sections right here are the darker color. I know it doesn't look like a darker color once it's activated. Like I said, I should have gone darker on the first page, but I want them to be the same. If I feel like I'm getting too much water on the page, I just dab it on the tissue. I am going over some of my other lines. That's okay. Not too worried about it. Can't be bothered. If I was that worried about it, I wouldn't be using a water medium in the background. Or I'd be using a much smaller brush. The reason I love water mediums is that in general, they're not so precise. I don't know, they're a little wild. You know, you never know exactly what you're going to get. Okay, so I'm going to speed this up and I'm going to finish coloring in what I think is the rest of the first layer, and then we're going to go into the middle layer and then to the top layer, and I'll stop in between each one. Okay. Okay. I finished the bottom layer. Paper's doing good. Hasn't bled over, which is great because I love this page right here. So, we're gonna go ahead and do the next section. Like I said, these two colors are very similar, so I can say I've already gone into it a little bit right here. So we're just gonna keep going up until we hit the lightest color. So we're gonna go into the next section now. This section should be a little more blue, a little less green. Like I said, I wish I had just done the first section more green. But hindsight. I'm gonna go over to the other side so I don't drag my arm through it. Be smart about this. Just gonna do a little bit of this at that speed. And this one's going back down to the original color. So I'm gonna wipe it off. I can see it actually goes all the way up to here. This darker color, or this mid-tone color. And of course you can do these with any colors. So, you know, just because I chose colors poorly doesn't mean you need to as well. You could do these with purples, with oranges, with reds. Mix your colors. Now, since this is going straight into the light color, I'm going to go ahead and go straight into it. I'm wiping off as I go so I don't carry the next color with me. And I'm going to dab. This is a really light color. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it on camera. This is a really light blue. Let's see. I can't tell if you can see that or not. That's the light blue. So I'm going to go back down to this section, get some more water in my brush. And in this little section, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go up. Brush off. Tap off. And I'm going to get up into the light blues, and I'm just going to kind of tap it off into the white. We're going to go back down here. Oops. Tap off and then go up here into the light. Kind of smush that color around. Okay. Moving over here. Go back down to the here, which might be the original color. No, that's the secondary color. Wipe off. Go up here into the lighter color. And just kind of tap that up into nothing. Okay, back down here. We're about to come up to that smudge that I made, so I want to get up to that point, see what happens. covered it up a little bit. The paper's pretty peeling a lot up there, so I'm just gonna leave it. Okay, we're almost done with this part. Let's go ahead and get this wet. Get some more water on my brush. Not that much water. Finish up this section down here. Too much water. You can always just keep wiping off your brush if you have too much water. That is the downside to using water brushes. But I've always just felt very comfortable with them. I know you have more control with a brush and a glass of water, but I feel fairly comfortable with a water brush. So use whatever you're comfortable with. Okay, wipe off and then go up in here into the light color. And dab, 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 dab. And that's it. So now we have, I'm calling this water because I'd like to think that this little guy over here is not jumping, he's swimming. And I'm calling this water, and now all we need to do is these little dots down here. So those little dots are done with green aquamarine. So I'm going to put my brush away. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I use my brush for this. Okay, so instead of drawing straight onto the paper, for this I just took the pencil and took ink right off of it. Make sure you get enough ink. I'll make sure you also don't get the ink on you. And just dab, dab, dab. This gets some pretty saturated ink right on the paper. This paper might be a little too wet still. No, it's dry. Maybe my brush isn't wet enough. You want to make sure you're grabbing a lot of ink. There's a lot going on this side of the page too, so I think I'm just having trouble getting in amongst all the leaves and everything. Oops, and I just smudged it right there. That's okay. Over here it dried pretty light, so I think I'm going to go back over it. Okay, get that ink. Make sure you can see that's a lot of ink that came off of that brush. Make sure you get all the ink out of your water brush. I'm going to go to, where's my other one? I have another tissue over here. I'm just going to make sure I get it clear. And then make sure this pencil dries completely before you put it away, otherwise you're going to have a big mess. So, let me zoom out. This is our completed background. It's a little streaky, but you know, I think it turned out really nice. This side of the page is definitely taller because it goes down right here, and I kind of leaned into that because the flowers are still tall. Still have this yellow mark right there. Maybe I'll go and add like some sparkles into here or something and cover that up. So I need to do the lily pads, make them a little more turquoise, and the bubbles. I was going to go in with pencil, but I kind of like the way it looks now, and I kind of don't want to ruin it. So I think I'll probably just leave it. So thank you for joining me. I hope this was helpful. I hope it was helpful, and you know, if you're new to Inktense, that this just gave you, or water mediums in general, this just gave you a little boost of confidence that, you know, doesn't have to look perfect, but you can still do fun stuff with it. So I will see you all again very soon. Until next time, take care, and I'll talk to you again later. Bye.